Hey, what's going on, mamas? This is Melanie Fiona, and you are joining us on a new episode here on the Mama's Den.
Hey.
And today we are talking about life, chaos, and marriage.
We are chaos, actually.
We are the chaos, though.
This is Codie.
Just not in our marriages. Oh,
Mama of 4. I mean, sometimes. Mama.
Sometimes.
Oh my
You don't
God.
have 4
Why do I keep
kids.
saying that?
You gotta stop counting your husband. Men are like children.
She's not wrong.
the funny thing is, she's not wrong.
Mama of 3.
We take care of everybody.
And, you know, them kids. Felicia?
I'm Felicia. I have 2 children, 9 and 4.
Hey.
Ashley got an attitude.
This is Ashley. This may be my last episode of the Mama's Den.
God. So dramatic.
I'm tired
So
of being
dramatic.
mistreated, and so I could get mistreated at home. I don't need to do it. Come here and do it.
I can do that all by myself.
I have 4 children.
I have 4 children.
Okay, Amira, Azara, Asia, and Natalia, and that's it. Okay, you know what? I do want to talk about something.
Yeah.
Just real things about, like, when we were talking to Fee, when I said you have to stop expecting things from people that they can't give it to you so that you can appreciate them. Can we talk about how my husband will do the most amazing thing for me and then the next day get on my mother effing nerves, and I just don't know where to go from there? Like, sometimes I feel like a crazy person because I'm like, how can you be so thoughtful but at the same time be so thoughtless? It just doesn't make any sense. And I think about how, like, in this season, you see a lot of people getting divorced, right? And I think in the back of my head, I'm always thinking about, like, how can we make it? Or are we going to make it? And can we will our marriage sustain the test of time, right? Because the thing is that I know for sure it's obviously not just about love to make the marriage work.
Yeah.
And then the feeling of the desire of wanting to stay together that ebbs and flows based on their behavior. And sometimes I'm like, are you supposed to just, like, people that have stayed together for so long, right? It's usually like older couples that we talk to, and their reasonings go from here to there. The reason why people got married, the reason why they stayed together are just things that don't really resonate with our generation, right? So then you see a lot of people in our generation divorcing sometimes over simple things or things that you're
Seemingly
like,
simple.
seemingly simple.
Yeah.
But honestly, being married, I feel like they are simple things. And that's the thing that people don't realize, that it's typically the simple things that are an everyday behavior that end up driving a wedge between people where eventually someone's
That's
like,
fair.
I can't do this anymore.
That's fair.
I don't really know a lot of people who get divorced over, like, oh, they cheated, or I don't know a lot of people who stay together
Yeah.
and people cheat, and they're
That's
like,
That's true.
that's not what breaks them up. It's like, this motherfucker kept putting the forks in the spoon spot
Right.
for 15 years, and I
Yeah.
couldn't take it no
Right.
more.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out, like, I don't have examples of, or people.
What you mean?
Meaning,
tried to make
I can't talk to
several
my
examples
mom. My mom literally told me when I got married, I've never been married. I don't ever want to be married. Do not ask me for marriage advice because I'm going to just tell you to leave him. Ask someone else. She was like, do not come to me for that type of advice because my answer is always going to be to leave, because that's what I did.
That's how I got to be careful with asking my mom certain things too, because I'm like, what you like, your visual of it is not what I want. You know what I talked to about marriage advice is the kid's grandmother, because she held it down till the last day with Gavin's father. But then also Noelle's parents. Noelle's mom. Girl, I think they've been married for like 40 years or something like that.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you gotta find you an OG.
It's like seeking what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like,
What?
I don't know. I sometimes feel like even with that, it's so hard for me to take advice sometimes because I don't necessarily like other people's relationships or marriages.
That's what I meant by
do you see
seeking.
what I'm saying?
Seeking the type of relationship you want.
What if you just take
I
what you
ain't seen
need
it.
too?
I'll
Like
leave
take
it
a
at
little
that.
bit of
Yes.
this.
Also that. Yeah.
Like
For
I feel like
sure.
I always take a little bit from each of you guys, and then I
She said,
always
but
take a
not all
little
of
bit
it.
from, and then I customize it, right?
You should, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
But
a
there's certain
advocate of
people
that.
I'm like, my mom, girl, sometimes I'd be like, girl, I didn't even ask you. I know. Mom's like, just be single forever. The Bible tells you. I'm like, Mom, stop. Stop it, okay,
I
lady?
love when people use the Bible to
She
either make
know-
you stay
girl.
together or break up.
I'm like, Mom, come on.
I don't know. Who do you, because you spent not your whole career, but you spent the vast majority of your documentarian career talking to
Interviewing
couples.
yeah.
Who do you talk to about marriage or seek advice from?
For me, because I have interviewed over 200 couples, there's so many. Like, just what Felicia said, it's like a little here and a little there. And also it was sort of seasonal for me too.
Yeah.
There was a time that like I had just had the twins and I started working 3 weeks after I had them. And I remember we sat down and interviewed Sally Richardson and Dondre Whitfield and Kev and Melissa the same day, I think. It was the same day.
Okay.
And those interviews stood out to me in that moment because I was in this season of like needing to hear from someone who'd been together a long time. So there's certain moments where I'm like, oh, okay. And for better or for worse, we would do these interviews. I ever tell you that we got in a really bad fight before we came to Melanie's house?
I don't know if you told
We
us
would
that.
do these like a very bad fight.
Oh no, I feel like you did say this.
think
I feel like you said this.
But we would do these interviews, and sometimes it would be like, "Oh my God, I love what they just said. Like, that's what I need. Can you do that?" And he would be like, "No,
That's not the point, Codie.
like for real." And so it would sometimes make things worse in context of like that moment for me. But like I always appreciate hearing these different stories and examples, and so being able to identify what I want more of, or even how to articulate like what I need, like what I need to say. But yes, it was highs and lows.
Melanie, I was gonna say both you and Jared's parents are still married, which is really amazing. Do you two talk to your parents about your marriage, or do they give you guys advice, or how does that work?
It's very interesting that you're asking this question because I was talking to a girlfriend recently and we were talking about how our images of love that we've seen or marriage can either dictate how we want to be or how we don't want to be. And our parents are still married. And it's interesting because the more time I spend with my parents, the more time I see that even though they're in their 60s and 70s, there's still shit to be worked on. If it hasn't been worked on, it's not going to all of a sudden get better just because you stayed married for 50 years.
Right.
You know, it's still there. It's these things. And so I think the thing that Jared and I both had when we met each other, and it was a big reason why I think we loved each other and wanted to love each other, was because we did both come from families where marriage was still present, as well as just the type of love I think that we came from our parents. But we also too recognize now, like, oh, I don't want to be going through that when I'm 60 and 70. So we're going to have to work on it right now. So when you're talking about like who you talk to, we talk to a therapist
I was gonna say,
on a regular basis.
Are you both of you guys inspired by your guys' parents' marriage, or like not really? Because you can be married for so long, but it's like y'all don't even like each other.
So no, I think we are still we choose we know what we're inspired by, and we know also generationally you just can't turn back the hands of time when certain patterns, cycles, practices have been enabled, continued, supported, perpetuated in your marriages, roles. You know what I mean? Like we're none of us are exactly like our mothers or our fathers as people. Right? So, but the idea that there is this love, that there is this unity, that our kids get to have their grandparents be together as a unit, we love that and we appreciate that. But I mean, even separate from marriage, do I look at my mom and be like, whoa, I could have never done that. I would have never done that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But like, do I love seeing my parents care for each other in this time of my life, in their lives? Sure. Do I see that there's also still difficulties and challenges at 60 and 70? Sure. And my goal with that is I'm not trying to deal with, I think, and figure out how to navigate some of the things my parents or his parents or even parents of that generation are still trying to figure out when I'm in that stage. Like, I'm trying to figure that out now. When I get to like 60 and 70, I really want to be looking at my partner and really being like, we coast into the sunset. Into the sunset. Like,
absolutely.
We've spoke about it all, done it all. And what we are is prepared to embark upon the best that we can. What actual challenges come with age and time and mortality and all these things that start to arise. Empty nests, like all these things that happen. Girl. So my whole thing, Jared and I, now we look at our parents. We love our parents. Our parents were just there. They're coming for Christmas. Like, we know what it is, but we also look at each other and we're just like, hey, we have a lot of work to do right now. And so therapy is one of them. And the thing that I really appreciate about Jared and I is that even when we hit those patches when I think, yo, this is really hard, this is like something that we keep running into, neither one of us gives up on trying to get past it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we tried this. Now we have to try something else.
Willingness.
And that's honestly what it takes. It's like, I think generationally, we've seen moms and dads or partners say, that's just how they are.
Girl.
But then you get to your 70s and 80s, you're just like, you still like that? I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
I either want to make peace with that's who you are and I'm willing to be with that for the rest of my life, not secretly harboring, you're going to change one day.
That part.
No. Let me get real comfortable right now with who you are and who you say you're going to be. And at least one of those qualities is you're willing to work to make this work.
Yeah.
And you care about how I feel in this.
The willingness and I feel like it's that part. If you're not willing to grow and you feel like, oh, I don't need to grow, or this is not a big deal, this is just how I am.
This is just how I am.
I can't deal. I was telling Ash that so for the longest time, I felt like I wasn't against marriage, but I think I just didn't understand it for myself. And I didn't want to base my decision of wanting to get married off of this is what you're supposed to do. I was like, let me ask questions and observe other people's marriages that I love and respect and know the truth too, right? Like not just, oh, you guys are best friends.
It's
like,
wonderful.
no, he get on my nerves. And me knowing that that's normal.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, so I was telling Brian, and Brian is very much, he's like, well, I mean, we don't have to get married. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. But then I was like, hold on. No, we do. Because I don't want it to be so easy for you to just walk away. So I'm like, okay, the security, mind you, anybody could walk away married or not. But I'm like, I know what it's like and how, not saying it was easy for me and their father separate.
He ain't your wife. Right.
Yeah, like it was too, and it's also like my biggest thing was if we're going to have children and build this, like for us to be together, do we have to get married? I'm like, we don't have to, but if you want to build a family out from this, I'm not doing that again. What I already did, you know. It was easier for us to walk away, even though emotionally it was difficult, but it was easier to walk away because it wasn't this paperwork and all this stuff to where it's like we could have fought a little bit harder, but we didn't. So it's kind of like I just look at it from a different perspective. And I told Brian, I was like, why would it be crazy for me to want to marry you? Look at how you treat me and my kids and the way you show up. I'm like, I love you. I would love to try and keep doing this forever. God willing. I'm like, yeah, you do shit that really gets on my nerves. I'm like, but I can deal with that. Yeah. I've accepted that you just gonna chew with your mouth open and I'm gonna have to be okay with that.
Ashley would never accept such a thing.
So it's like and I always make
sure.
don't
plan trips though, so you get what you get.
You get what you get. You don't get upset. That's my favorite.
So this is the thing. I think this idea of marriage once upon a time used to be like, well, it's the natural progression of life. You're with someone, you get married, you have a family, you do all these things. I think that that's different now. The way that I view marriage now, and I think view marriage for everybody, like, yeah, sure, people can get married and married to somebody else and get married to, like, sure, you could do that. Me personally, marriage for me came after we had already had children, well, a child, and we made this decision, and I felt like it was taking our relationship to another level as a choice.
Yeah.
You know, like,
absolutely choice.
I'm choosing you. I'm choosing you not just because we have children.
Yes.
Not just because we should get married because we want to have more. Like, I'm choosing to go through life with you.
Yes.
And I'm not going to romanticize about what could have been, who could have been, what else is out there. I'm at this place where I'm choosing you. And we are choosing each other. And I think for me, that commitment of choice is what makes it harder to leave. Not because it's just like, oh, we're married. Not like if the marriage didn't work and if the relationship didn't work, you're gonna but it's the choice. I made a commitment to myself as well as to you to choose each other. And so that's what makes it more difficult to walk away. It's not just because we got kids. It's because I chose this. And so if something is not working right now, I'm going to also choose to try everything else that I can. As long as you are as well, to see this through.
But you know what? Go ahead.
I don't know if you were going to say the same thing, but I'm going to choose to do everything I can as long as you are as well. I mean, I will say from what I understand and have experienced, but what I understand from interviews is like there are seasons where one person is doing all the work. You know what I mean? So that like, I think that as long as you are as well, sometimes we have to go out on faith and like hope that they would, or hope that they will in another season. Right. But sometimes you're doing the work by yourself.
That's sometimes you're doing the work. It is really hard in a partnership, but you also do see those seasons where like a partner will turn back and be like, how'd y'all get her? him. She didn't give up on me.
But
he didn't give up on
okay.
me. And granted, because like you said, there are some seasons where people cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
They can,
Yeah.
But I just think you show up. If you even if all you can do is just show up, it's like let's use therapy as an example. One person is, we need therapy. One person is, I don't want to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Or the other, that's two different things. But you have somebody who's just like, I don't really know, but I'll show up.
Right.
Hey, if you're showing up still,
Yeah.
and you're not doing anything else but just showing up, I can receive that as you showing up the best that you can.
That's what I was literally about
Absolutely.
to say. I was going to say, even when you say that there's seasons where the other person is, I would say I disagree with that, because maybe the person wasn't showing up the same way you were, but they were absolutely showing up in some type of way, whether it's just going to therapy, but maybe they're not saying anything, but they're there, that led you to believe that there is hope and that there is a like we're moving, it's rather slowly, but we're moving. Do you know what I mean? Because I just think about too, like, I think about the whole Will and Jada thing and how people were coming after them for sharing their story. And I also think about, remember when Michelle Obama was like, I didn't like him for 10 years, and people dogged them or were like, if that's what marriage is, then I don't want it. I think people have an unrealistic expectation of marriage. The more honest it is, the more honest people are about what it takes to stay together, people judge that, which is why a lot of people don't share what's going on in their marriages, don't share how they're getting from point A to point B, because people want that facade of what it is. And it's not. Listen, I can understand how not being married and hearing that sounds absolutely insane. And you're like, oh, I definitely, if that's what marriage is, I don't want it, or I don't want that marriage. But they're not understanding that even when Michelle Obama is saying, I didn't like him for 10 years, there were lots of moments in that 10 years that she did like him.
Sure.
Yeah.
What she's saying
And
is
she
loved
him.
There, in that 10 years, it was difficult, but he was showing up in different ways to keep her there for that 10 years that got them to the other 10 years where, like, okay. And within those moments, he was learning and doing something. Okay, you got...
I completely agree with you.
Okay, go.
Right? But I just want to caveat that I feel like there can be times where the other person is up. And I
The
mean
whole
that,
time?
I mean that from the, but what does up look like, right? Like
Well,
that could
it's
be,
different
and
to everybody.
I'm just going to give a scenario,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying 10 years, maybe most people can deal with this for 1, maybe 3, maybe 10, whatever. But like there could be a time where he's just focused on career.
Yeah.
He is putting food on the table, going back to work, saying, I hope you had a good day, good night for a long time. And she is doing the heavy lifting and taking care of the kids and whatever. And that's why she's like, I did not like him, but we were eating and we didn't have time to fight
See?
about
Right.
it. And so my point
But that's
is
different.
It's different, but my point is like those examples happen too.
Yes.
And you can look up in 20 years and be like,
We made
that's
it.
not right. We made it. That I don't want to keep going that way.
Yeah.
But we made it. And now and I think my point too is that shit happens.
Yeah.
Like that's what I know for sure is that shit happens. And when I say shit, everything from infidelity to
Miscommunication,
nonchalance
to loss of passion,
all of those things. And you decide whether to stick it out, why you're sticking it out. It may simply be because I know somebody or one of our couples who wanted to, they literally were like, we did not like each other. She had an emotional affair or something like that. And they were like, but we couldn't afford to get divorced.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed together and now they're they went through,
got through
they
it,
made
yeah.
choices to get to a happier place. But the point is sometimes the reality is some people look up and they're like, I don't really know why we're still here, but we are. And I guess I'll try something different tomorrow.
That sounds crazy to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is what deters people from wanting to be married. For me, I didn't grow up with my parents being married. I grew up with my parents being best friends. Do you know what I mean? So I got to grow up seeing friendship and them raising us together cohesively with my stepmom, even though my dad cheated on my mom and my stepmom, have a baby here, have a baby there, everywhere. And then they were still like, put it aside for the kids. We all grew up together. My mom would babysit the half siblings, so my dad and stepmom go on dates. Very crazy. Like all of this, you know what I mean?
Like some shit I'll do.
Yeah, but my mom was like, I grew up she met her dad when she was 15 and he was like 13 minutes away from her. So she was always like, I want my children to have their father in their life. This is the most important thing. I chose to have these kids. Whatever happened between me and him is none of their business. They're going to have their dad in their life. But also, I think that for me personally, I do find it to be incredibly odd, but it's not judging that people to me, there's like certain like things that are just not going to work. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, infidelity is one of them. I don't have the spirit of letting go. And I think it just depends on each couple and what works for them. If you're a person who can move on from something, then you can probably move on from infidelity, because I know that I could not. Literally today, Chia was like, what did he say to me? He said something because I brought something up from a long time ago. And he was like, girl, when are we going to let that go? And I was like, maybe never. And he was like, well, can we just like know that it happened and then you stop bringing it up? And I was like, well, what fun would that be? Like, I forgave you, so now I got to talk about it. But like knowing that is like, oh my God, if he ever did something really serious, we wouldn't be able to survive, because a part of like,
but that's you
moving
knowing
forward,
your personality.
Right.
I'm not saying what I just described is right for everyone.
Right. Okay.
But I'm also saying like you don't know what will come from the standpoint of even someone going through postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Right. Are you still showing up in the ways that you just described? Are
Right.
you still, maybe they don't want to go to therapy with their partner. Maybe they just want to be in the house and be grumpy and be whatever.
Yeah.
And the other person is like, I don't like, they're not showing up, but I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm still
that's
here.
all I'm
You need, like,
saying.
a
And it's a
moment.
choice. And just like, when you were talking about like this time period, there are seasons.
Yeah.
And, I was saying this, like, don't make permanent decisions on temporary feelings.
For sure.
And I think when you view marriage and a commitment of marriage and a choice of marriage as a long-term commitment,
Right.
you start to look at things as seasons.
Yeah.
Versus like, is this really the way it is?
Yeah.
Because I've also seen this season in our marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen this season. Oh, I remember that season. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that you have to look at it as a overall perspective of am I still committed to going through all the seasons with you? And so to your point of there was a time when I couldn't stand him, but you know
Right.
what? I didn't leave in that time and it worked out.
Yeah.
And here we are, and I'm glad I didn't leave, because we
And
would have
that
never
has
gotten
to
to this
do with
season.
having evidence of, meaning like when she and I go through those seasons, I already know that there's great seasons.
Yes.
And so
Sure.
I'm able to push through that because I know that this is not who he is as a whole. Maybe it's harder for people that haven't seen the change yet or haven't seen the other side of the person, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I was like that.
And
Really?
I think that that's a harsh reality, right? Because sometimes when you see it, whether it's generationally or you see it in your, you have to look at yourself and be like, did I know that this person was always like this?
Right.
And
Right.
I was hoping that it would
Yeah.
change, or I was committed to the potential of who they could
Yeah.
become versus hello squirrel.
That scared me, girl.
Wait, what
like
you
right
said
there.
you were like that? What do you mean?
Oh, when me
Sorry,
and
I
their
was like a
father-
dog. Squirrel.
No, I was like, I thought it was a rat.
I thought it was a metaphor.
It would be coming from Mel. And the squirrel said.
I feel like with me and the children's father, it was very much me looking at this, like how this person was showing up. And I felt like I kept saying like, can we change this? Can we do this? And I just felt like he wasn't able to show up in the way that could have helped the relationship. He was showing up the best way he could, but now that we're like separated and older, it's like, oh, okay, we kind of had to go through more things. But for like 2 years, I was like, yeah, this season feel like it's lasting forever. I don't know if I can deal with this. But definitely after we separated, he was like, well, I changed because I see how much the way that I was showing up was like, it was detrimental to our whole relationship, and I lost my family. So that situation changed him. So I think I was thinking of it more of like, okay, if I let this person go and I go my way, then maybe we'll attract the things that will bring us together in that way. I don't know. I don't desire to be with their father, but I feel like it's on purpose that we're co-parents. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You were meant
I
to
feel
be
like
in
it
each
was
other's
designed like
lives.
this. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
And I think that I like the way that we show up for each other now, it's like we're even better friends. We're even better partners.
Yeah.
In terms of like just partnering, we both show up for ourselves individually to be the best parents we can be. Like, so I'm like, I think it was meant to be for it to be
I
how it is.
1,000% believe in
Yeah.
people being meant to be to procreate and people meant to be together in relationship.
Yeah.
And I think because of society and how we've changed things because of commercialism and you know, like the world that we live in, I think that this is just my own Ashley belief. Doesn't mean if it's right or wrong. I really 100% though would low-key die on this hill that I don't think that like the way we exist now is like the right way. And I really feel like due to history, people were meant to procreate together.
The Erykah Badu vibe.
No, seriously, because marriage, the way it exists now, is not how it's always been.
Yeah.
This is a new thing. This is why it's hard for people. The way we parent is not how it's supposed to be. That's why it feels so unnatural to be alone in your house and parenting alone with just this one person. And you're like, why I feel crazy? Because you're supposed to be in a communal area with other people helping. That's why. And so I feel like people meet people and there's like maybe a divine attraction because you have to accomplish something. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to be like, that sounds so crazy and dumb. But my parents coming together to make me and my sister makes 1,000% sense.
Yeah.
Them being together, no. Especially as a kid, I wanted them to be together real bad because they were best friends. Yeah. But as an adult, I'm like, oh, hell no.
Yeah,
as a what?
An adult.
As an adult?
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But
I'm so happy you said that. When I tell you, sometimes I feel like, am I tripping?
No.
Because I literally look at me and their father's relationship and it's in such a healthy space. And I'm like, damn, you were really my partner. Like, and it just happened to be that we had children. But I'm like, romantically, I'm like, yeah, nah. Did I tell you guys a story when we had Peace's soccer game the other day? Oh, this was a really funny moment. So we're at Peace's soccer game, and me and him are talking, and Zen is like running around, Peace is playing, and this man walks up to us, and he's like, oh, you're Peace's parents. I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I heard you guys are getting married in Jamaica. I said, I said, no, the hell we not. I said, been there, done that. But everybody, and he's like, no. This is the children's mother. But it was just such a funny moment because I'm like, we know that we both gave it all that we could give. Yes. And it just wasn't, that's not how it was supposed to be. Yeah. Now it took years to get to this understanding because I was like, dang, did I mess up? Did I not hold out long enough? But when I really think about it and I see the way that he's being loved by his person and I'm being loved by my person and the kids are happy and healthy and can see friendship and they can see, being in love and they can see all of it. I'm like, no, this is how it was supposed to be.
And also,
100%.
The person that you are now and the person that he is now, you two may have not accomplished that together.
Yeah. Girl, absolutely not.
But that's the hard thing is to see somebody in their best form and be like, damn, if you were like this and I was like this, we could have made sense together. Yeah, but that may have never come to fruition together. Yeah, my mom tells me that all the time and I'm like, no, you're right. Yeah. I was like, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that it was supposed to be like that. I know, that's hard though too, especially when you're both mature now. You're like,
maybe. But now that I got me a good man.
No, I feel passionately like there's not one way.
Yeah.
I think everything from deal breakers in relationships being different for every human or not existing for some to like what you're willing to put up with isn't the right word, but like what you're willing to be patient through. What you're willing to like just, go through or experience in order to get somewhere. Yeah. And sometimes you don't know where. Yeah, that's and true. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And in the bad, you take a lesson, right? And so, I mean, that's everything from parenting to partnership and I very much agree with your point that like, nothing is what it used to be. Right. Marriage ain't what it used to be. Parenting ain't what it used to be. All of these things need to grow and change and evolve. But most importantly, like we have to figure out like what's going to work for us as individuals.
Yeah. Like I think it is important to know certain, I guess, what non-negotiables are. Yeah. But I also truly believe that like you don't know the test of what you can do in a situation until you get there.
Absolutely.
Because you just don't know. Like I feel at certain points in my relationship with Jared, there were certain things that used to really get my gears going. And now I'm just like, I don't got time.
Gears.
But it's true.
Burn my biscuits.
But I actually love that those are not the things that no longer weigh on me. And I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's true. When we went to out of the country and there's a specific country that does like specific sexual favors. Okay. And me and Brian were just sitting there talking, like joking. He made a joke about it, and then I made a joke about it. And I was like, look, I'm gonna be honest, at this age and at this level of just womanhood, I'm like, do what you gotta do. I don't care. But just as a joke. But then I really asked myself, I was like, I actually don't care. Like, I'm like, but before I was like, oh no, I can't handle infidelity. But I don't know. I'm like, but I know your heart and I know that it's a moment. I don't know. But
that's again, deep. That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. But to your point of, man, I'm tired.
I think it also comes from as you get older, maybe, or maturity through a relationship, realizing that there is, to find true happiness in your relationship, for me, I feel it's understanding that I don't have ownership over my partner.
Girl.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and their decisions.
In their decisions. And so me releasing that, because I used to feel like that having control was love. And if I could control everything he did, like that's how I feel like I relate to you so much. Cause I look at through my growth with my ex, and sometimes I'm like, man, I see where I was wrong. And if I wouldn't have did these things, maybe me and him would have still been together. Then I'm like, that's not the person I was supposed to be with. No, only in a sense of like, you can look back at a relationship and be like, this person was so wrong. Then you grow and mature and you're like, oh, I actually was wrong.
Yeah,
I actually
and
was
I contributed
wrong.
to
I contributed to the downfall of our relationship. So then, of course, you play with your mind like, dang, I really like that person, and maybe if I wasn't tripping, we'd be together. But then you're like, that wasn't supposed that led me to being a better me, to meeting Chia. Yes, timing is everything. But also just like, I feel like the reason why I wake up every day and continue to choose Chia is because, one, he chooses me, but also the stress of letting go of like, listen, we're either going to be together or we're not. I cannot control his behavior. I can control anything he does. The only thing I can control is myself and continue to show up the best way I can. Hopefully he meets me there as well. I know what I can and can't deal with. I know he's given me enough evidence to see the best of him. So even when he's at his worst, I'm willing to wait it out till he gets to his best
that
again.
part.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have faith in that. Yeah. And the moment that I don't, then we'll have to talk about that and address that. Yeah. But I don't know. I think to me, marriage is just like a continuous choice to choose.
It is.
You stop choosing.
I love that. I love how you said it. Like it's just the conscious effort and the conscious choice of like, I am true. I'm not worried about nobody else outside of this, but I feel like Brian is the first person that I'm like, oh, I feel like that.
Yeah.
Because before I was like, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not really this, but I'm like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. Now it's clicking. He's not there yet though. He doesn't understand that part of marriage. He literally feels like, what's the point? We can still do the same thing. But I'm like, but if you really think about it, but also me being patient enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna leave this right here. Yeah. I'm not gonna press you.
Well, look, me and her both, it's funny, every time you talk about you and Jared getting married, it is so weird to me because I feel like you two have been married longer than all of us.
I feel like that too.
It is so weird that
coming
I'm like,
up on 3 years of marriage.
It's so, but
we've been together for over 10.
I was gonna say the spiritual commitment.
The spiritual commitment, and that's what I was gonna say to you. Chi and I obviously waited 7 years to get married. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't know scripturally, biblically, whatever, if marriage even makes sense, but I do love being called his wife. And I literally got married just because I like saying that I'm his wife.
I said something about marriage. She was like, I'm going to just go ahead and be honest with you, girl. I like the way it sounded. Yeah. I'm like, wait. I need real advice.
No, that is it. Because Chi and I were living together in a committed relationship for 7 years, sharing a home together, raising our daughter with full understanding. Like, this is my partner. Yeah. We're together. It's committed. The only thing that my level of commitment didn't change when we got married. First of all, I'm gonna walk away whenever I want to, if I want to. I don't care about no paper, no divorce, whatever. I'm out if I want to be out.
Right.
But I'm out. The reason why we had a wedding is because that's cute, and because we wanted to, and changing, you can change your last name without getting married. You have the same last name. You could create paperwork. You can do all of that without being married. That's why I don't like when people say that, because I'm like, the paperwork is the paperwork is the paperwork. Girl. Whether it's in a marriage certificate or it's in a will or it's whatever. Girl. But I got married.
A wheel.
The wheels on the bus go round.
It's the same word, spelled different ways. The wheel. But like red and red. And read. No, but it's not. But it's fine. But seriously, I was telling you that to say it's actually okay if you just want to be somebody's wife. Yeah. Like, there doesn't have to be a deeper meaning of getting married other than I like the way that sounds. I want to be his wife. I want him to be my husband. I want to have a wedding, and I want to continue on the path that we've been on. Literally, like, because sometimes people feel like they need, like, well, why? Because God said or blah, blah. But if you don't believe in that, how are you going to tell someone that marriage is the right thing if there's no religious context to it? Because that's the only reason why people use that excuse now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think I was butting up against, because there was so much context, and then it was like, sometimes it's okay to get married just because you want to be called wife. And it was like, wait, let me wrap my head around what she just said. Because ultimately what you were saying is you had already made that commitment.
Yes.
You had made that spiritual, emotional commitment to him.
Without the government.
And so with or without the title, that was the commitment. And you were like, but I wanted the title, so hey.
Yeah.
It's like your spirits just come together and they're like, yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then the marriage trickles
down
down
in the world saying,
I also used to never.
They knew what I meant. Y'all knew what I meant.
I also never let Jared call me his wife when we weren't married.
Oh,
You did or didn't?
She
I
didn't.
feel that. It's
He
like
would
doing marriage things
No, I
when you're
totally
not
agree.
married.
And I hate when
What's
men
that
say
thing?
wifey.
He would try and
That's
call
like
me
never
my
wife.
girl.
Even
So,
jagged
girl,
edge.
I'm your woman.
Even
He would
jagged
try
edge?
and call me his wife. Or
Don't
be like, oh,
ever.
this is my wife. And when we were engaged, and I used to be like, we're not married.
Baby.
And also, it's true. I used to be like, I'm
not
your
married.
fiance only for a small period of time until we
Yes.
get married. So call me your fiance, call me your partner,
Yeah.
call me your woman. You could call me, don't call me your wife. Because
love
when we get
partner.
married, you'll call me your
Yeah,
wife.
you earn that title.
Then I will be your wife.
Same.
But I'm not your wife right now.
And now that you're married, do you love hearing it and saying it?
Oh yeah, I'm his wife. That's my husband. That's
Yes.
I'm his wife.
Yeah, girl. See, I can't. I'm like, yeah, I want to be like, girl. That's my husband.
My
Okay.
my name in his phone is Wifey Cotter.
Oh, cheers, it's Chia, mi esposo.
Yeah, Wifey Cotter.
Tommy's is Tommy Oliver
I
Ice.
was just about to say ice. In case of
what's
emergency.
ice?
Even though no one says that, and you don't need to do
Yeah,
that
in case of
anymore.
emergency.
Yeah.
Even Jared is definitely
I'm
Jared
old.
Cotter.
I was like,
in my
wait,
phone.
ice.
I should really do a love name.
Yeah, Mommy Ice, Tommy Oliver Ice.
Yeah.
Said in case of emergency.
I used to call Chia my gentleman lover, and he would drive him crazy. That's how I introduced him to
What?
people before we were
What?
married. Yeah, I'd be like, "Oh, this is my gentleman lover."
Why? To
Because I wasn't
who?
going to call him my boyfriend. We had a whole child together and
So
lived
my
together.
gentleman
He was my
lover?
gentleman
Oh yeah,
lover.
I say my partner.
And I wasn't
going
gonna
to
call him the father of my child. We lived. That's weird. Like, you know what I mean? We're together in a relationship. But you're
Yeah.
my boyfriend. This is my
Okay.
gentleman lover.
Well, love
Boyfriend
that.
just sounds so crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm too
sounds
old for that.
childish.
I think the gist though is, do you, mamas and aunties and grandmamas listening to this,
Yeah.
like for real, do you?
All right, bye. And if you got a partner, do y'all.
Oh, there we go.
Godspeed.